Hello everyone, hope you are doing all great in your life and healthy and happy. Yes, again no song because I know this video is again going to be long and yeah, so we are again going to skip the song. So the number one thing is that just don't type anything. Like if you do not know astrology, just don't type anything. It's better not to do that. Because if I set the 7th lord in the 12th house, means journey, means foreign travel, means that you're going to meet your spouse in foreign lands. See, foreign lands for you, if you are living in Maharashtra and you come to Chandigarh, you come to north part of India and you have never in your life been in the northern areas of India, living in India, but you being the citizen, you being living in Maharashtra, going to the north to Shimla or Chandigarh, it's very foreign to you. People, I mean the you can say culture changes, people changes, the language changes. It's a big difference. Of course, that can also be considered for you. It can be a foreign land. So, and again, when we talk about the 7th lord in different houses, it will give you some clues about your spouse for sure. It will definitely give some clues. But again, if we have to look at certain things, then we look at the 7th lord, we look at the Dharakarka planet, we look at the Jupiter or Venus placement. If you are a female, then we see the Jupiter placement. If you are a male, we see the Venus placement. But overall also we see the Venus placement, in which house it is placed, in which sign it is placed, in which nakshatra it is placed, and how is the strength of that Venus in the D9. Is that Venus capable of giving love marriage relationship? Because D1, the D1 chart represents the physical body, whereas D9 represents the strength of the planets, the inner, you can say the inner organs. If the inner organs are weak, the outer body will be weak. So we have to see, we have to check the strength of the planets from the D9, and then again we have to check it from the D60 chart. Most of the time, like we have Dhan yogas, we have Raj yogas in our D1 chart. But how is that planet behaving in the D9? Is it placed in a friendly sign? Is it placed in an enemy sign? Where is that planet placed which is forming a Raj Yoga or a Dhan Yoga or a Saraswati Yoga? Any yoga, we have to see the placement in the D9 also, and as well as D60. Why D60 is important? Because it's the chart of your past life karma. And it's really important. If you do not believe in past life, do not see astrology, do not watch astrology, because astrology is based upon your past life karmas. And D60, I mean, we astrologers always have to look for 3 charts, always have to be, you can say, give importance to 3 charts. The Trimurti is so important because we have Brahma Dwara Sthapna, Vishnu Dwara Palna, or Shankar Dwara Vinash. That's a Trimurti, same. D1, D9 and D60. D60 is the Sasthyamsha chart, D9 is your Navamsha chart, and D1 is your Lagna chart. So again, if you are forming a Dhan Yoga in your chart, but in D9 the planets are not placed well, they are in an enemy sign, they are debilitated, okay, we see the D60 chart. Alright, it's an average position. That means जो वो धन योगा या फिर वो राज योगा बना है आपके चार्ट में D1 में, of course जब planetary time period आएगा, you will have an average income, or you will have the average status. See, धन yoga means wealth का yoga, raj yoga means you will be in a leadership position. So both are different. So again, if you do not know these things, if you do not by just one planetary placement, you say that, you know what, a 7th lord in the 12th house, it didn't happen like that, we didn't met like that. No, it can happen that the 7th lord of D1 was placed in the 2nd house of D9. It makes a lot difference. On YouTube, what you see is just the primary, or you can say fundamentals, that this will happen. But again, you just do not type that okay, this didn't happen because the 7th lord was in the 12th house. Don't say this, because you haven't seen the D9, you haven't seen the D60, you haven't seen the D12, the Dwadadamsha chart. you have to look at the chart, not just one chart but many charts to confirm something. So again, that needs a lot of time and patience from your side as well as our side also. So just don't jump on the comment section and type that this didn't happen. No. And even if when it comes to nakshatra stories play out in your 30s or 40s. Of course it didn't play out before also, but we are young at that point. In 20s we are very young, we do not know what to do. Most of the time in 20s we are kind of setting our career in this and that. We are too busy to look forward to certain things which are described by those nakshatras. But definitely the nakshatra stories will play out, will definitely play out. So that's there. And yeah, let's just get started with the reading. So today's reading, as the title suggests, it's the reading about your about the life with your soulmate or life with your spouse. I would say life with the spouse, because again, soulmate is kind of a relationship which can even happen between friends. It can happen between guru and a student. Like you somehow get attached to that person, not just because of the information, but kind of because you feel that connection, and that's a soulmate connection. So soulmate connection is just not about romantic connection. It's about that when you met somebody, instantly you find yourself hooked to that person or connected to that person. And that can happen in any relationship, like any relationship. So this is a tarot reading which is gonna be about your life with your spouse. So yeah, let's just get started. Of course, it's based upon your moon sign. The first pile will be of Sattvic signs, the second pile will be of Rajasic signs, the third pile will be of Tamasic signs. So moon in these signs. I'm also gonna put the, what do you call, something or the other. Okay, I forgot. Wait. तो जिसको भी अपना मून साइन नहीं पता है, उनके लिए मैं यहाँ पर पाइल रेडी कर देती हूँ. Alright, they can intuitively also choose. So these are the three piles. This is the pile 1, ये वाला, and this is the pile 2, this is the pile 3. This is Sattvic, then this is your Rajas, then this is your Tamasic pile. Alright, moon in Tamasic sign, moon in Rajasic signs, moon in Sattvic signs. Alright, so I am gonna see you at your reading. तो हम शुरू करते हैं. हेलो पाइल नंबर 1, तो ये है आपकी रीडिंग. आपने चूज़ करी है ये वाली पाइल, और ये है सात्विक साइंस की पाइल, यानी कि आपका जो मून है वो कैंसर, लियो, सेजिटेरियस या पाइसिस में से किसी एक साइन में है. वाई दीज साइंस आर सात्विक? बिकॉज कैंसर इज रूल्ड बाय मून, एंड मून कंट्रोल्स आर टाइडल वेव्स. All the liquid in our body is controlled by moon. And then we have the sign Leo, which is ruled by the sun, and sun is the ultimate source of energy. Without sun there is no light. And then we have the sign Sagittarius and Pisces, which are ruled by Jupiter. So Jupiter, it's a sattvic planet, it's the guru of devas, and without Jupiter our earth would have been destroyed already, because the meteoroids will of course destroy the earth. Most of the time Jupiter protects our earth from those big meteors. Alright, let's just get started. जो पाइल नंबर 1 है, उनकी मैरिड लाइफ कैसी होने वाली है, उनकी लाइफ आफ्टर मैरिज जो है वो कैसी होने वाली है, उनके स्पाउस के साथ उनकी जो लाइफ आफ्टर मैरिज है वो कैसी होने वाली है, पाइल नंबर 1 की. Alright, we have here the 5 of swords, we have Knight of Cups, we have Ace of Pentacles, we have Ace of Swords here, we have the Lovers card, and we have the Hermit card. अब तो मैंने ना Hermit card को थोड़ा differently देखना शुरू कर दिया, legit. Hermit card just is not a representation of Virgo. It's also the representation of Gemini. If you know, Virgo and Gemini both are ruled by Mercury, first of all. Okay, it's ruled by the Mercury. Then we also see that in Gemini, it's not a happy-go-lucky sign. Even though we say that it deals with your social media, it deals with your cousins, it deals with your playgroup, it deals with your writing, it deals with your sports activities, anything which is fun is related to Gemini. But do you see the duality of Gemini sign? It has Ardra Nakshatra. It has Ardra Nakshatra, which makes the Gemini sign a bit of a ghori. It makes the Gemini sign like the hermit. After all, both are ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is the the planet of communication. Many of you will say that Akshata, Mercury is ruling Virgo and Gemini. It is, these signs are very communicative, but no, Virgo, we all know, those are analytical people who just goes inside, goes within and analyze themselves, are very self-critical. But with Gemini also, the little part, which is like what, till 20th degree, I think, from, if I remember the degrees, just one second, if I remember the degrees, it's 6 degree 40 minutes Gemini to 20 degrees 0 minutes Gemini. It's Ardra. So the thing with Ardra is that Ardra is a very traumatic sign. So what I want you to know is that Ardra, it's just not a happy-go-lucky nakshatra. It's very intense. Why it's intense? Why it's like the Aghori? Why it's about even going towards spirituality and being unconventional? Ardra represents being in isolation. Ardra is an unconventional sign. It's not conventional at all. It does not likes, the Ardra person does not likes to be in a place where there is government, where there is authority, where they have to be under someone, where जहाँ पर भी उनको जो है उनका काम करने से रोका जाए, वो जगह उन्हें बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं है. That's why from Ardra we see criminals, we see murderers from Ardra. And Ardra people are very eccentric people. They are very eccentric because they are the people who likes to live in semi-urban or rural area. Most of the time they like that. But of course, I've seen IT professionals from this. I've also seen people who are meteorologists. I feel this is how it is pronounced. The weather thing. Weather becomes really important. Storm chasers are seen from Ardra because Ardra is a nakshatra which is again unconventional, but at the same time it's the form of Shiva. Ardra is represented by Rudra, and Rudra, it's the deity of Ardra, which represents howling and screaming. It represents the teardrop. It represents that, you know what, everybody rejected me and now I want to be alone. I want to be isolated, just like the sign of Virgo. Again, both sign Gemini and Virgo are ruled by what? Are ruled by Mercury. So you will see that people becoming like those people who are like Aghori. They will have a peculiar hairstyle as well. They will be the people who will dress up in a very, you can say, Aghori way. They just do not know how to dress up. They just do not care that how they are looking. They are the people. The number one thing from your pile is that your spouse can be a person who may have a dominating Ardra, and especially if moon is in Ardra, and moon becomes really important in Ardra. Let's just say this. If your spouse's moon is placed in Ardra, damn, he will have a traumatic childhood for sure. Now Ardra is ruled by Rahu, and Rahu represents ups and downs also. So as soon as he was born, he was running the Mahadasha of Rahu, and in that Mahadasha, it was his childhood. If you ask him that what happened in your childhood, he will tell you stories that this happened, that happened, and everything was against him. Everyone rejected him. He was like the outcast of the family, because this nakshatra is the outcast nakshatra. And your spouse will also be a person who may look like an Aghori, who may have this beard, who may just, his hair will be, or her hair will be in like, it will be peculiar. They will be very different. And he or she will be the people who may be like those people जो ध्यान ही नहीं देते कि हम कपड़े क्या पहन रहे हैं. And even with females I've seen, they have facial hair. I know that these days because of the hormones, every Asian have those facial hair, but what Ardra female is like, she just do not care. She do not care how she's looking. And that's Ardra. And somehow, sometimes they are considered to be the outcast of the family. They are somehow rejected by the family, or they reject the family. It's like that. And they want to stay alone. And because यहाँ पर जो है the lovers card भी and the king of cups भी है, so definitely your spouse will be a person who will like to be in the nature, just like Ardra. They like to be in nature and they like to be isolated. They are not the people who want to be with civilization. Because as I've told you, this nakshatra deals with Shiva. He resides with his family in Kailash, in Himalayas, away from civilization. So this spouse, your spouse, will be a person who would like to live in an isolated place. That's there. That's Ardra. And he will be or she will be the people who may meditate also, who may have strong anger, but of course that anger is not going to come out कि छोटी सी बात पे वो anger आ गया, छोटी सी बात पे गुस्सा आ गया. No, उस गुस्से को build up होने के लिए time लगता है. And when that anger is there inside, it is going to come outside. जब वो धीरे 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 सर के ऊपर से पानी निकल जाता है, and then your spouse can be a person who can become violent at times. Because Ardra, as I've told you, it's the nakshatra of murderers. I'm not saying that your spouse will be a murderer or something. No. Of course, in extreme cases, it happens when Rahu is in Ardra. We see that. We see those tendencies. But most of the time, it's not like that. Definitely an Ardra loves to have pets which are exotic, loves to eat exotic meat and exotic, even if they are vegetarian, then also they would love to eat exotic food, exotic salads. And most of the time these Ardra native, for example Justin Bieber, he had a monkey as a pet and his name was Mali, I think. Mali was the name. और वो जो monkey था वो भी किसी और ही country का था, I think. I do not remember the country, but किसी और ही area का, किसी और ही country का वो monkey था, and it is an exotic pet. And Justin Bieber had, I think, Sattva Nakshatra in, let me check. He has some, wait. He has his sun and Saturn in Sattva and moon in Swati. And if you know, Sattva, Swati and Ardra, जो तीनों ये नक्षत्र हैं, ये राहु रूल करता है. And Rahu represents outcast, Rahu represents exotic things, Rahu represents something which is foreign. So that's there. So definitely he had that thing कि मैं exotic pets रखूँ अपने पास. The other example, if I have to give you, of Ardra or Sattva or Swati, even see, Swati is a very soft nakshatra. Sattva and Ardra are the chaotic nakshatras of Rahu. And Michael Jackson had chimpanzee, had zebra as his pets, and his moon was in Sattva Nakshatra. And we also have Mike Tyson. I have, written in the community section of this channel about Ardra, and I have given the example of Mike Tyson who had Sun and Jupiter in Ardra Nakshatra, and he had a tiger as a pet. See how unconventional they are, and how you can say they have the knack to have, they just want to have something exotic in their life. And sometimes these people, like, of course these people also, as well as if you have Ardra, a strong Ardra, moon in Ardra, sun in Ardra, Atma Karka in Ardra, your ascendant lord in Ardra, your Arudha Lagna in Ardra Nakshatra, definitely you will have the tendency to eat exotic food or to have exotic things in your life. So that's there. And if again I have to give another example, she is an actress of Twilight and Kristen Stewart, I think. Her sixth lord of domestic pets is in Sattva Nakshatra and Jupiter in Ardra. And she has hybrid dogs. जो hybrid dogs यानी कि wolf और dog का जो combination है, she has that. And again, 6th house deals with your domestic pets like cat, dog. You can keep them in your house, whereas the bhavat bhavam of 6th house is 11th house, which represents wildlife. I have said this in the previous, or I think couple of videos back, that 6th house ka jo bhavat bhavam hai, it's the 11th house. 6th house if represents non-profitable organization, then 11th house represents profitable organization. 6th house if represents the small organization, then the 11th house represents large organization. If 6th house represents your domestic pets, then 11th house represents your wildlife. So naturally, Ardra people or Sattva people are the people who can be wildlife photographers also. They can be meteorologists also, the weather or the storm chaser. IT में भी ये जो है Ardra natives are there, और Sattva भी है. We have Air Force when it comes to Sattva. So your spouse will be a person who will be like Ardra. They will be. And of course, उनकी जो फैमिली होगी, ऐसा हो सकता है एक्सेप्ट ना करे because of their choices they made in their life. And naturally the Ardra have those abandonment issues as well. यहाँ पर the lovers card है. See, the Shiva also got Parvati, and that's how Shiv Shakti came. So again, the lovers card define that thing, that your relationship with your spouse will be like Shiv and Parvati. Your spouse will be extremely wise person. Extremely wise person. They will be very unorthodox. They do not like the society because society has the norms and they want to go against the norms. So that's there. And जो ये आपकी married life है, of course यहाँ पर ये पता लग रहा है कि wealth is going to definitely come, because यहाँ Ace of Pentacles है, which represents new opportunities, which represents wealth coming also. यहाँ Ace of Swords है, which represents after marriage it can happen that your you can say clarity of mind, spirituality increased. That's there. Your spouse is somehow gonna increase your you can say clarity of mind. They will increase your spiritual side of your life. They're gonna somehow increase that aspect कि जहाँ पर हम ये questions पूछते हैं, why, how, ऐसा क्यों हुआ, why did this happened, these kind of questions, ये अगर पहले नहीं आते थे तो आपके स्पाउस से मिलने के बाद आफ्टर गेटिंग मैरिड टू दिस पर्सन यू विल फील कि ऐसा क्यों हम करते हैं, ये चीज़ हम क्यों करते हैं, बिकॉज योर स्पाउस इज गोना मेक यू क्वेश्चन एवरीथिंग, वट एवर यू हैव लर्नड इन योर लाइफ फ्रॉम योर पेरेंट्स, फ्रॉम योर टीचर, फ्रॉम योर फ्रेंड्स, एनीथिंग, योर स्पाउस इज मेक यू गोना क्वेश्चन देम. Because your spouse is very eccentric, because your spouse is a person who himself or herself questions everything, and whenever they are doing something, they will take the longest time to complete that particular thing. Because Ardra is like a diamond. They are the diamond makers. Because हम एक डायमंड को बनाने के लिए रिगरसली कंटिन्यूसली उसके ऊपर मेहनत करनी पड़ती है, और इतनी मेहनत के बाद जाके वो डायमंड, चमकता हुआ डायमंड फिर निकलता है. So your spouse will be a person who will work for long hours, and when his work or when her work is complete, then जो वो एक end result, end product निकलता है, that's like the shining jewel of Chitra. Chitra represents jewel, right? In the Virgo side of Chitra, we have the star of Pisa, which is one of the shining, which is the shining jewel. So naturally, your spouse will be a person who is like the diamond. They need a lot of polishing. They need a lot of effort in their life to bring that diamond out of themselves. They are diamond themselves. So ये चीज़ ज़रूर हो गई. 5 of Swords represents, ऐसा हो सकता है again that abandonment issue, again कि जो childhood था वो traumatic हो सकता है आपके spouse का, and they just want to live alone. They do not, they are not the people who want to live in society. They just do not, they are not those people. No, they have a very different you can say opinion about things, and people just reject their opinions or reject their there is rejection basically from other people. When it comes to them, they will tell you that people rejected me, or I rejected their ideas because I didn't like the ideas and this and that. They are very different when it comes to their opinions and their approach and their view. Their point of view is very, very different. So let's just pull one master card for them. मैरिड लाइफ जो है आपकी कैसी होने वाली है, आपके स्पाउस का नेचर ओवरऑल जो एक कह लो ये ओवरऑल जो एनर्जी है वो कैसी होने वाली है. All right, we have the wheel of fortune here. Again, there is dharma coming. Dharma, dharma, dharma. Who shouts dharma, dharma, dharma? It's the Bharani Nakshatra, and Bharani is about Yama, and Yama also had those abandonment issues. One more thing, your spouse will hate the authority, will just hate the authority, and right now, who is the authority? It's the government. They are the people who just do not like to be under someone. If he wants to keep an exotic pet, he will keep that exotic pet, even if वो exotic pet जो है उनको जेल पहुंचा सकता है. Because I mean, there are times when people want to have a tiger, a snake in their house, and it's illegal, और जब पुलिस को पता लगता है then things happen. So that's the tendency is there. The tendency is there. I'm not saying that it will happen for sure. Of course, वो चीज़ें जो है चार्ट देखने के बाद ही पता लगती हैं. But we can say that yes, the taste of exoticness is there in your spouse. He would love or she would love exotic things. And यहाँ wheel of fortune है, meaning dharma, dharma, dharma. He is a person who is very righteous. If something is not right in the relationship, if something is not right around you, he or she are gonna take step. वो जो है उस चीज़ को करेक्ट करने के लिए, उस चीज़ को करेक्ट करने को लग जाएंगे, उस काम में, उस चीज़ को करेक्ट करने में लग जाएंगे. That's the mentality of an Ardra and a Bharani. Your spouse is a very righteous person. Or after marriage you will also see again that clarity is gonna come to you for sure. वो जो एक spiritual clarity है या mind की जो एक clarity है, जो decision making है, वो काफ़ी strong हो जाएगा, because your spouse is actually supporting you now to make decisions. Your spouse is gonna help you in your decision making. Your spouse is gonna help you that what is right and wrong. Just like Parvati, irrespective of gender, guys, if you are a guy watching this and your spouse is your wife is like Ardra, it's like an Agori, she is going to help you in decision making, and she is going to tell you what is right and what is wrong. Somehow your spouse will become a teacher, a guru to you. So that's there. Of course, clarity is going to come. More so, your spouse will also be a person who will be always in this you can say passionate relationship with you. This relationship, this marriage will be the marriage जो काफ़ी last करेगी आपको, life long last करेगी आपको. Because when an Ardra loves someone, they can even keep their head, they can keep their skull for you. And when I say they will keep the skull, because Ardra is represented by the skull. If you become a friend with an Ardra, they can keep the skull for you. That's how Ardra is. They are that much loyal. They are that much loyal. They are the people. Ardra natives जो होते हैं, यानी आपके जो spouse होंगे, वो एक ऐसे person होंगे जिनको ऐसे हर चीज़ पता लग जाएगी. They are very intelligent, they are very wise, they are very witty. But उनकी जो wittiness, उनकी जो intelligence, उनकी जो wise जो वो nature है, वो कभी भी society में वो use नहीं करते हैं. Because they do not like to be in the society. They just cannot be in the rules, cannot be following the rules and regulation and the norms of society. He or she would want to live far away from civilization. They would love to be in semi urban or a rural area. So that's them. So कुछ और cards भी आपके लिए निकाल लेते हैं about the married life of pile number 1. Pile number 1, we have the sudden wealth, we have despair, we have imprisonment. यहाँ पर जो imprisonment है वो यहाँ पर 12th house को भी denote करता है. 12th house represents jails, asylum, so and 12th house also represents exit. 12th house also represents your foreign land, so your spouse will want to stay away from the city. So that's there. जो आपके spouse है after marriage ऐसा हो सकता है, he or she would want to be in a place where there is just 1 or 2 houses or couple of houses. They just want to have that you can say, they just want to be near nature, they just want to be free. That's what an Ardra wants. And यहाँ पर sudden wealth, and we have the card despair. Despair card से ये पता चलता है again those abandonment issues coming in. ऐसा हो सकता है you may marry this person, you may marry your spouse even when your parents or their parents were against this marriage. It can happen like this. It can. कि आपके पेरेंट्स कह रहे हैं कि आप इस पर्सन से क्यों शादी कर रहे हो, उनके पेरेंट्स कह रहे हैं कि आप इस पर्सन से क्यों शादी कर रहे हो, एंड देन यू गॉट मैरिड एंड देन योर पेरेंट्स आर लाइक डू वट एवर यू वॉन्ट टू डू, वी आर लीविंग यू. इट कैन हैपन लाइक दैट ऑल्सो. जो भाग के करते हैं ना शादी, उस टाइप का सिनेरियो भी यहाँ पर हो सकता है. वी हैव सडन वेल्थ हियर विच अगेन रिप्रेजेंट्स वेल्थ इज गोना कम. Either you get a promotion or your spouse get a promotion. But after marriage, it can happen that you may live away from the city because of your spouse's nature. Your spouse does not like to be in the city. That's what he is. Again, Ardra people will have prominent eyebrows also. Why prominent eyebrows? They will have bushy eyebrows because it is said that Rudra was born from the eyebrows of the Brahma. So eyebrows becomes really prominent and important. Ardra native will always have this voice. जहाँ पर भी वो कुछ बोल रहे होंगे ऐसे कुछ आवाज़ ज़रूर निकलेगी, एक डिस्टर्बिंग वॉइस दैट विल बी देयर. कुछ ना कुछ बोलते बोलते दे वॉन्ट टू टॉक क्विक, बट वॉट हैपन्स इज वो स्लिप ऑफ टंग हो जाता है, और देन द वॉइस विच कम्स लाइक जस्ट लाइक द हिसिंग साउंड ऑफ द स्नेक. It's a disturbance when a person, especially an Ashlesha, Rohini, or your Mrigasera person, when they speak, they will have that hissing sound. But Ardra will also have a sound which is different. What they are talking, they will have ऐसी कुछ इस तरह की जो होगी sound ज़रूर निकलेगी उनकी. So that's there. That's again a trait of Ardra. So pile number 1, this was your reading. I think it was all about Ardra and Bharani. More so it was about Ardra. I should say Ardra, Aradhra, kuch bhi keh lo. It's Ardra. So yeah, this was your reading. I shall see you in the next reading. Tab tak ke liye be positive, stay happy. हेलो पाइल नंबर 2, तो ये है आपकी रीडिंग. आपने चूज़ करा है ये वाला कार्ड, और अगर आपने मून साइन से चूज़ करा है, यानी कि आपका जो मून है वो रजासिक साइंस में है, यानी आपका मून जो है वो एरीज, टॉरस, जेमिनाई या फिर लीब्रा साइन में है. वाई दीज आर योर रजासिक साइंस? बिकॉज एरीज रिप्रेजेंट्स आवर फिजिकल बॉडी. तो व्हेन वी आर बॉर्न, आवर फिजिकल बॉडी इज बीइंग बॉर्न or is given birth to. So the next is your sign of Taurus. Taurus deals with your family, your kutum. So again, it's important on the Bhumandala. Then we have the sign of Gemini, which deals with your cousin, which deals with your playgroup, early playgroup, and then it deals with your sports activities, it deals with your writing, even it deals skills, it deals with skills of hands, anything which gives you pleasure, social media, these things. So yeah, that's the sign of Gemini. Then we have the sign of Libra, which says that I want to be in relationship. Libra wants to deals with Libra want to deals with relationship. Libra wants to deal with business partnership. So anything which is related to contracts is about Libra. So let's just get started. How will be pile number 2 married life be like? Pile number 2 की जो life after marriage है with the spouse, वो कैसी होगी? पाइल नंबर 2 की लाइफ आफ्टर मैरिज विद द स्पाउस, वो कैसी होगी? ऑल राइट, वी हैव 4 of wands here, we have Knight of Pentacles, we have 7 of Pentacles, we have 8 of Cups here, we have 2 of Cups and we have 5 of Pentacles. एक हम जो है मास्टर कार्ड भी निकाल लेते हैं आपके लिए पाइल नंबर 2. पाइल नंबर 2 की जो पर्सन है, स्पाउस है, उनकी ओवरऑल एनर्जी अगर हमें पता लगती है तो ऑल राइट, वी हैव द कार्ड टेम्परेंस हेयर विच रिप्रेजेंट्स दी शिव शक्ति. ऑल राइट, वी हैव 7 of Pentacles, 4 of Wands, 5 of Pentacles, 8 of Cups, Knight of Pentacles, and we have 2 of Cups here. 2 of Cups represents that marriage is in your cards, so that's there, marriage is in your cards. We have 4 of Wands, which represents the mandap, which represents the marriage ceremony, and we have the temperance card, which represents again marriage ceremony. It represents both of the cards, I would say. 4 of Wands and the temperance card represents the 9th house of your birth chart, which again represents pilgrimages, represents your spiritual practices, it represents higher education, it represents patience, it represents, because see, Sagittarius is ruling the 9th house, it's the original Sagittarius sign, so of course Jupiterian traits will be there. Your spouse can also be a PhD holder, he can be or she can be the people who are highly educated, who may be the people who went to universities away from their cities. So that can happen with this or you can say this pile. We have 5 of Pentacles, which represents isolation, which represents alone or loneliness, I would say. Loneliness, not alone, loneliness. There is a lot of difference between being lonely and alone. So it can happen, जो आपके spouse हैं वो एक single child हो, या फिर somehow somewhere they just feel lonely, and it can also, again, the abandonment is coming in the pile 1 also. There were some abandonment issue, यहाँ पर भी है, but यहाँ पर इतना strong नहीं है. It can happen that they may have Bharani और Ardra और Sattva in their chart, but more so यहाँ पर जो dominating energy है वो energy है मूला की, और it can also be Uttarashada और Purvashada nakshatra, but more so Moola, because we have the Shiv Shakti here, and yeah, it represents the Moola. It's the Moola की जो deity है वो Kali है, and Kali represents destruction. So it can happen that your spouse may be a person जो कहीं ना कहीं एग्रीकल्चर से उनकी फैमिली रिलेट करती है, या उनकी फैमिली एग्रीकल्चरल बैकग्राउंड से है, एग्रीकल्चर बैकग्राउंड से, बिकॉज वी ऑल्सो हैव हेयर 7 of Pentacles which represents the roots. So somehow somewhere the roots becomes important. Your spouse can be the person who may love to eat things which are grown inside the earth, like potatoes, ginger, garlic, these kind of things. And then we also have 8 of Cups, which represents moving forward in life. Again, your spouse after marriage will move forward in their life. More so यहाँ पर जो emotionally है वो कहीं ना कहीं forward movement होती हुई नज़र आ रही है. It can happen that your spouse can be in relationships before meeting you, before marrying you. एंड वो जो रिलेशनशिप्स थे कहीं ना कहीं उनको गिल्टी कॉन्शियस करते थे, कहीं ना कहीं उनके लिए ठीक नहीं थे, एंड आफ्टर मैरिज वो जो है उन रिलेशनशिप से आगे निकल रहे हैं, उन रिलेशनशिप को पीछे छोड़ के अपनी लाइफ में इमोशनली आपके साथ जो है आगे बढ़ रहे हैं इस मैरिज, जो ये मैरिज कमिटमेंट है, ये जो मैरिज रिलेशनशिप है इसके अंदर. देन वी हैव नाइट ऑफ पेंटिकल्स विच रिप्रेजेंट्स अ स्लो मूविंग जर्नी. इट्स नॉट अ क्विक थिंग, नो, it is not. Knight of Pentacles represents a very slow situation, a very slow relationship. It can happen that your spouse can be the person जो जल्दी से open up नहीं होते because of the past रिलेशनशिप, बिकॉज उनको ऐसा लगता है कि अगर मैंने अपने बारे में इस पर्सन को सब कुछ बता दिया, आपको सब कुछ बता दिया, ऐसा ना हो कि आप उनको अकेले छोड़ के चले जाओ, बिकॉज देयर विल बी दोज ट्रस्ट इश्यूज, देयर विल बी दोज अबैंडनमेंट इश्यूज इन हिज और हर लाइफ. सो दैट कैन हैपन. 2 of Cups represents here marriage, unionship, partnership for life. So that's there. I think it will be a beautiful journey, but of course ये जो journey है लाइफ लॉन्ग जर्नी है, आप एक दूसरे से बोर नहीं होने वाले हो, हैप्पी गो लकी पाइल है. इवन दो शुरू में थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम्स है, दैट यू कैन टेल योर और यू कैन से टू योर स्पाउस कि मुझे ना ऐसा लगता है कि आप मुझे चीज़ें बताते नहीं हो, एंड दैट कैन बी ट्रू, दैट कैन बी वेरी ट्रू, बट योर स्पाउस हैव दोज इश्यूज़ कि मैं जो हूँ जल्दी से ओपन अप नहीं होऊंगा, मैं टाइम लूँगा, और ट्रस्ट इश्यूज़ है मुझे, मैं धीरे धीरे ही ट्रस्ट करूँगा. सो ये जो चीज़ है ये आपके स्पाउस में काफ़ी ज़्यादा प्रोमिनेंट हो सकती है. यहाँ टेम्परेंस कार्ड है, जैसा मैंने आपको कहा, टेम्परेंस इज अबाउट द मूला नक्षत्र एंड मूला इज अबाउट डिस्ट्रक्शन. मूला, सी सेजिटेरियस जो है इट्स अ फायरी साइन, राइट, करेक्ट, एंड सेजिटेरियस इज अ सात्विक साइन. सो हेयर ऑल्सो द डिस्ट्रक्शन इज डन to construct something new, to construct something positive, to construct something which is fruitful. But destruction is important. The sattvic fire is going to burn everything to grow and construct something which is beautiful, which is positive, which is fruitful. So for your spouse it can happen, fire rituals becomes really important, because Kritika also deals with the fire rituals, and your spouse can be the person who may do fire rituals in like he may love just watching the fire itself. They may love. I'm not saying that there will be the people who are the tantrics. No, I'm not saying that. But I've seen that Kritika people do love bonfires. They just like seeing that fire. They just like to see that fire. and that just mesmerizes them. और उनको जो fire है वो बहुत अच्छी लगती है. They just keep on staring that fire. They just keep on looking at that fire and feel calm, because Kritika is ruled by Agni, and fire becomes really important. Fire rituals becomes really important. If you are a Kritika native, for example, your Atmakarka, your what do you call, sun, moon, or your Lagna or your ascendant lord is in Kritika, do try fire rituals. They are going to calm your nerves down. And your spouse can be a person who may have a prominent Moola or Kritika. So that your spouse can also be a person who may love cooking. With Kritika, your spouse can love cooking, because again fire is being used. And your spouse is a person who may know how much black pepper, how much salt should be added in the curry. Even if he or she cooks occasionally, but whenever they cook the delicious meal ever. So that's there. The cooking thing is there. But definitely after marriage, it can happen that you may feel that your spouse is kind of the person who just do not open up quickly, who may not talk a lot. They are not the people who talk a lot. But whenever they talk, they kind of cut you in conversation. Kritika represents sharp object, razor-like object. So naturally, a person, whenever they talk, they cut or butcher conversations. So that's there. But of course, that does not mean that they are bad people or they are not good at all. No, it's not like that. Your spouse is a very happy-go-lucky person, but of course, he will or she will keep their distance from you for quite a while. That's gonna be there. So, जो pile number 2 है, उनके जो spouse हैं, उनकी जो मैरिड लाइफ है, कुछ और क्लूज अगर हमें मिलते हैं. ऑल राइट, वी हैव द गिफ्ट कार्ड हेयर, वी हैव द थॉट्स हेयर, एंड वी हैव द लवर्स कार्ड हेयर. ऑल राइट, यहाँ पर ये एक सोलमेट कनेक्शन होने वाला है. और यहाँ पर जो गिफ्ट कार्ड है उससे ये पता चलता है कि आपके स्पाउस जो हैं मटीरियलिस्टिकली अपने आप को ज़रूर एक तरह से एक्सप्रेस करने वाले हैं. और थॉट से यहाँ पता लग रहा है कि एक आपके स्पाउस एक ऐसे पर्सन होने वाले हैं जो चीज़ों को जो है काफ़ी डीपली सोचते हैं, बिकॉज वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द मूला नक्षत्र हेयर, एंड मूला इज अबाउट द रूट्स एंड इट्स गोइंग डीप इनटू थिंग्स. यस, इट्स गोइंग डीप इनटू थिंग्स. ऐसा हो सकता है आपके स्पाउस जो हो कहीं ना कहीं एंथ्रोपोलॉजी, आर्कियोलॉजी, इन चीज़ों में हो, और आपके जो स्पाउस हैं उनकी जो व्हाट डू यू कॉल skills of hands hai, they are also good. Meaning sewing, painting, sculpturing, anything related to skills of hands, they are great in those things. So it can happen like that. So यहाँ पर जो गिफ्ट है, अगर गिफ्ट भी अगर उन्होंने आपको देना है तो वो गिफ्ट भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा कस्टमाइज्ड होगा. They know how to give presents, they know how to give surprises, and यहाँ पर lovers card है, so they feel connected to you. And because it's Moola, because your spouse can be a Moola Nakshatra, it can happen that they fall deep into love whenever they fall. And in past also, they must have fallen deep into love with someone, and that love or their person just cheated on them, or something or the other happened and the relationship just didn't work. और उसके बाद the Moola person becomes really, they really feel sad, they really feel depressed, because the Moola energy is there. It can happen that your spouse's Venus is in Moola, and in their early life, when they were 17, 18, 19, 20, in their early 20s as well, it can happen that they may be in relationships in which they fell deep in love. And again, the same thing, the same thing which I always tell to Moola people: never fall for someone until and unless they are at the mandap. Yes. Because after marriage you have to fall for the person. If you do not fall for the person, that's bad. But यहाँ पर जो है, this person, your spouse, have this tendency to fall deep in love. और यहाँ पर जो भी आपके स्पाउस होने वाले हैं, जो भी ये मैरिड लाइफ आपकी होने वाली है, काफ़ी ज़्यादा एक दूसरे से एक डीप कनेक्शन आप फील करने वाले हो. योर स्पाउस इज डेफिनेटली गोना फील द डीप कनेक्शन विद यू, एंड दे आर गोना फॉल डीप इन लव विद यू. यहाँ पर लवर्स कार्ड है विच रिप्रेजेंट्स एक सोलमेट कनेक्शन. बट again, the one thing, again a practical thing which I want to share with you is that whosoever is less in love with the other person, they are going to control the relationship. So it can happen that you may control the relationship. because your spouse is going to fall deep in love with you. So who is the controller? Who's going to play with the mind? It's you. It can happen that you take the control of this relationship, because as I've told you, whosoever loves the other person less, a little less, they are going to control the relationship. That's the key. That's it. Alright dear, so this was the tarot reading. और मैं मिलती हूँ आपसे नेक्स्ट रीडिंग के टाइम. तब तक के लिए बी पॉजिटिव, स्टे हैप्पी. हेलो पाइल नंबर 3, तो ये है आपकी रीडिंग. आपने ये पाइल चूज़ करी है एंड आपका जो मून है वो जो है थमासिक साइंस में, यानी कि आपका जो मून है वो होगा इन द साइन ऑफ वर्गो या फिर इन द साइन ऑफ स्कॉर्पियो और कैप्रिकॉर्न और एक्वेरियस. व्हाई दीज साइंस आर थमासिक? बिकॉज वर्गो इज रूल्ड बाय मर्क्यूरी एंड वर्गो जो है डील करता है आपके ऑब्स्टिकल्स, आपके एनिमीज और जो competitions, litigations, courthouses, enemies, dealing with enemies and dealing with obstacles, dealing with where you have to prove yourself that I am capable. And then we have the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio deals with ups and downs of life, deals with life and death, deals with death and rebirth, transformation. It deals with your surgeries, it deals with in-laws, your life after marriage, bed pleasure. It's the third Marka house. Then we have the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn deals with your society, deals with obligations to society. It deals with your workplace, profession. Then we have the 11th house, which is the gains from the authority. 10th house is the authority, and the gains from the authority came from the 11th house. 11th house is your wealth. It's the, you can say, the house of devil also, because the devil says that I'm going to give you a lot of wealth, just leave the hand of God. And yes, the 11th house deals with wealth. That's why it's the Maya. Wealth is Maya. But we need that wealth or Maya to sustain ourselves on this Bhumandala. So again, the Tamasic science is about sustenance. It's not about enjoying or being spiritual. These Tamasic science tells us if we have to sustain ourselves on this Bhumandala, we have to deal with obstacles, we have to deal with the ups and downs of life, we have to go out in the society, get reputation and fame, we have to earn wealth. So Tamasic science is all about sustenance and sustenance only. Let's just start with the पाइल नंबर 3. आपकी जो रीडिंग है, जो पाइल नंबर 3 है, उनकी जो मैरिज होगी, उनकी जो मैरिड लाइफ होगी वो कैसी रहेगी. पाइल नंबर 3 की जो मैरिड लाइफ है वो कैसी रहेगी. पाइल नंबर 3 के जो स्पाउस हैं उनका नेचर, उनकी कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स, उनकी मैरिड लाइफ कैसी होगी. ऑलराइट, वी हैव क्वीन ऑफ स्वॉर्ड्स हियर, वी हैव 6 ऑफ स्वॉर्ड्स, वी हैव 8 ऑफ कप्स, वी हैव किंग ऑफ वॉन्ड्स एंड वी हैव 9 ऑफ स्वॉर्ड्स हियर. एक मास्टर कार्ड भी हम निकाल लेते हैं यहाँ पर, जो ओवरऑल पर्सनालिटी है स्पाउस की. पाइल नंबर 3 के जो स्पाउस हैं उनकी ओवरऑल पर्सनालिटी. पाइल नंबर 3 के जो स्पाउस हैं उनकी ओवरऑल पर्सनालिटी. ऑलराइट, we have the high priestess here. all right, तो यहाँ पर जो है of course Shakti is there, meaning Moola is there. Again in the pile number 2 also there was this Moola energy. And we have Queen of Swords, 6 of Swords, 9 of Swords and 8 of Cups. एक कार्ड और निकाल लेते हैं हम, 4 of Cups. all right, after marriage it can happen that suddenly your spouse becomes more glamorous. They somehow start to take care of their health, of their physique, of how they are looking. They just start to feel more beautiful or more handsome. They start to look more beautiful and handsome. We all see those couples or we all have those cousins जो बिल्कुल सुंदर नहीं दिखते शुरू में, बचपन में, टीनेज में, but as soon as they get married, boom, there is that switch, or suddenly they become so beautiful, so handsome. And this thing will happen with your spouse. Before marriage they can be those they can be the people who do not know how to dress up, they do not know how to make their hair and this and that, but after marriage suddenly some switch happens and they become so beautiful, they become so handsome, their physique, their body gets even I've seen men started to go to gym after marriage because they feel that they wants to be that dashing personality, that that good looking handsome man for their woman. So that's there because King of Wands represents that Leo, that Magha, that king who desires to be on the throne, who desires to be the one. So that's there. It's of course health पे ध्यान देना और अपने ऊपर ध्यान देना, it's become really important. But after marriage it can happen that your spouse becomes, I'm not saying very obsessed about themselves only, but we can see that there will be that shift happening in them and they become very critical of their appearance. We have Queen of Swords, which represents making decisions on your own. It can happen that after marriage you become extremely independent in your decisions. You become a person जो किसी से ये नहीं पूछता कि मुझे ये करना चाहिए कि नहीं करना चाहिए. Although your spouse would want to take part in your decision making, but you will be the person who will be extremely independent in this relationship, and that's great. That's great. If you want to be independent, be independent. Whatever you want to do it. And your spouse is a person who wants to be the dominating person in this relationship, but of course I can see you as well, who is very independent in their approach. In whatever they are doing, you are very independent. And if you are not independent right now, I would say after marriage somehow you suddenly will become independent. Something will happen. Again, that switch is going to happen. यहाँ पर जो है आपकी लाइफ में एक 360 डिग्री चेंज आना, और वो एक इमोशनल चेंज है. अपने आप को इंडिपेंडेंट बना लेना, इमोशनली इंडिपेंडेंट बना लेना. That can be you. So after marriage it can happen that you become extremely independent. And we have Six of Swords, which represents baggage also, and it represents distance also, or you can say short distance travel. It can happen that you may have to travel to be with this person, to be with your spouse. At least there is 200 to 300 kilometers travel. It can happen like that. We have Nine of Swords, which represents loneliness. It also represents sleepless nights, that after marriage you may feel in a way that you know what, this whole environment is so new, I just cannot get settled, but I have to get settled because now I'm married and this and that. But definitely there will be change of place, and it can happen that you may not be able to sleep for few days. Then we have Eight of Cups, which again represents moving forward in life. And we have Four of Cups. It represents that you have a lot going in your head, a lot going in your external environment, and because of that you are just not able to look forward to different opportunities in your life. It can happen आपका जो वर्क प्लेस है आपको कुछ न्यू अपॉर्चुनिटीज दे रहा हो, बट आप उन अपॉर्चुनिटीज की तरफ ध्यान ही नहीं दे पा रहे हो because now you are very occupied with other things in your life. And we have the High Priestess, which again tells the Moola energy, which again tells the female energy. Even though यहाँ पर जो है female is really very dominating, female is very much independent here, very independent. तो आप जो हो, आपके रिलेशनशिप में जो भी फीमेल है, जो भी वाइफ का रोल प्ले करने वाला है, that person is extremely independent. That, I mean, if you are a female and watching this, after marriage you will be very extremely independent person. And if you're a male watching it, then your spouse is going to be extremely independent. They are not the people who wants to be told. They are not the people who will ask you to do anything. No, they are go-getters. They won't ask for anything. They are very independent in their approach. So do not even think to stop them, because if you try to stop them, the Kali is going to come out and boom, you're gone. It can, I mean, this pile also is the representation of your Purva Bhadrapada, because Purva Bhadrapada is the Aja Ekapada. I really hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Aja Ekapada, and it's the nakshatra dealing with the tiger, Shero Wali Mata. Yes, it's the nakshatra dealing with Shero Wali Mata, and Shero Wali Mata gives a lot of wealth also. Yes, it gives. She gives a lot of wealth. So as soon as you get married, wealth is going to come. Either you get a promotion or your spouse will get the promotion, but wealth is going to come for sure. और ancestral lands भी जो हैं वो आपके पास आ सकते हैं. Especially the male in this relationship will get ancestral properties. Somehow, some way they are going to get the properties, because King of Wands here represents Magha Nakshatra, and we have Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra, which is like, again, I have to come back to this, that your spouse, whosoever is the female, is the wife in this relationship, she wants to take charge. She is extremely independent. Again, I'm saying the same thing, but she is extremely independent. She will be a person जो कि अपने घर को एक territory मानती है. अगर आपने उस territory में step रखा, तो you will, get that tiger out. You will somehow see the tiger coming out of her, and you will see the who is the fierce one in the relationship. You will see that, and of course पंगा नहीं लेना वहाँ पर, because your wife will be that figure in your life, or that female in your life who is very fierce. She will be the fierce one. And again, because you being the Leo, being the king, you also want to be on the throne, you also want to have the upper hand. So then we will see that yes, it can happen that you may have those, power struggles. So that may happen. So of course, keep in mind, you both are partners, life partners, and everyone is equal. She wants to dominate you, you want to dominate her. So these kind of things will be there. These kind of things will be there, but that does not mean that the love is less. No, it's not. The love will be there. That's why this relationship is going to work. But yes, one needs to bow down to the other. At times you have to. At times she will, at times you will bow down. So again, these things will happen, but definitely both are dominating, both are very independent, extremely independent people. And I have to take the name of Jyeshtha Nakshatra also, because Jyeshtha is also about being extremely independent, being protective, being possessive, being the eldest. Jyeshtha people, your ascendant if it's in Jyeshtha, your Atma Karka if it's in Jyeshtha, you will be the elder sibling in the family. You will be the eldest. You will behave like the eldest also. So again, in this relationship, it can happen that you may behave like you are the elder one. So you are the eldest, you are the protective one, you are the possessive one, because again, you feel that insecurity inside you. Jyeshtha people are very insecure, because Jyeshtha is ruled by Indra, and Indra was, you can say, it's a post which deals with insecurity. It deals with insecurity. So again, stalking and keeping an eye, keeping a check on your spouse, it will happen with you. So that's there. That's your married life. I know it's not very dreamy and this and that, but that's what it is. Let's just see some few things more about your married life. Pile number 3 की जो married life है वो कैसी होती है? All right. We have the mature woman, we have the main male, and we have the false person in reverse. Alright, यहाँ पर जैसा मैंने कहा आपको, you are also a person who is like the Leo, who is like the Maga, who wants to be the king, who wants to be on the throne, who wants the first piece, or you can say first slice of the cake. Everything should come first to you. That's Maga. I want to king. I want to be the king. Everybody look at me, I'm the king, so you have to respect me. That's the Maga, and you are that person, and you can be that person in this relationship. Then we have the mature woman. See, the Shero wali Mata, do you think she is an immature person? No, she is not. She is the fierce one. She knows what has to be done, and your spouse is that person who may be much more maturer than you. And if you are a female watching this, you will be the maturer one, because the female energy is very strong here. If you are a female watching this reading, you will be the fierce one, you will be the maturer one, you will want to have the upper hand, you will be very possessive and protective of your loved ones as well as your spouse. And if you are a male watching this, you will have a dominating Maga. And Maga wants to be the king. He wants to control everything. He wants to be the dominating one. So definitely we see that power struggles can happen. Of course it can happen. And we have the false person in reverse, जो कि ये दिखा रहा है कि आप दोनों में से कोई भी एक पर्सन ऐसा नहीं होने वाला है जो अपनी फीलिंग्स अपने अंदर रखे और अपनी चीज़ें अपने पास रखे. मीनिंग वो जो भी आप फील कर रहे हो एक दूसरे के लिए, जो भी आप कहना चाहते हो एक दूसरे को, बेझिझक कहोगे, बेझिझक. बिकॉज आप आप दोनों एक दूसरे को अपना मानते हो, अपनापन है, अपनी फीलिंग्स एक दूसरे को बताते हो, शेयर करते हो. दैट्स वाई आप जो कई बार उस यू कैन से आर्ग्यूमेंट, दैट्स वाई आपके बीच में आर्ग्यूमेंट भी होते हैं, बिकॉज यू काइंड ऑफ टेल ईच एंड एवरीथिंग टू योर स्पाउस, ईच एंड एवरीथिंग टू ईच अदर, विच इज़ अमेजिंग, विच इज़ ग्रेट. और आप एक दूसरे से कोई जो है झूठ हो गया या फिर कोई और बातें हो गई, वो छुपाना बिलीव ही नहीं करते हो. यू जस्ट स्ट्रेट अप, you go to your spouse, you go to your life partner and you're like this happened and then I did this and then he did this and then that happened and this happened, that happened. कुछ भी छुपाना नहीं. You just say everything out and loud and clear, and that clarity actually maintains this relationship, and that clarity is important. So naturally there will be arguments because you are going to tell each other each and everything, which is amazing, which is great, and which also becomes the you can say a thing which protects your relationship, you can say a habit which protects your relationship. But of course जो एक ओवर शेयरिंग होती है वो कई बार अच्छी भी होती है, कई बार बुरी भी होती है, बट ऑफ कोर्स इट ऑल डिपेंड्स अपॉन यू. बट देयर विल बी ओवर शेयरिंग ऑफ थॉट्स, ओवर शेयरिंग ऑफ आइडियाज. सो दैट्स अमेजिंग, दैट्स ग्रेट एंड दैट्स ब्यूटिफुल. ये जो रिलेशनशिप है ये एक पावर कपल रिलेशनशिप होने वाला है. दिस इज लाइक जो पावर कपल्स हम देखते हैं, यू विल बी वन ऑफ देम. सो पावर कपल है. ऑलराइट, पाइल नंबर 3. तो ये थी आपकी रीडिंग. मैं मिलती हूँ आपसे आपकी नेक्स्ट रीडिंग के टाइम. तब तक के लिए बी पॉजिटिव, स्टे हैप्पी.